Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 47 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you once again from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. As we look forward to having some great discussions in the coming weeks and months, we simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We are highlighting another great organization this week and have Chelsea Valentine and Claudette Argabrite with us today. Chelsea is the business services representative with Gaston County Workforce Development Board, and Claudette is a manager at NC Works. But we also have a special guest with us. Also, Donna Caskey is the recruiting director extraordinaire here at GSM Services, and she works very closely with the Gaston Workforce Development Board and is actually a board member along with Claudette. So Chelsea, Claudette, and Donna, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
All right. So just to warn our listeners today, we're going to try to keep this under 3 or 4 hours today because we have a really, that was for Donna, by the way. So we're going to get started real quick. Maybe start with you, Chelsea. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Anything you'd like to share with our listeners?
Sure. I'm not very interesting, but I'm a mom of twin girls. They're 11, so 11 going on 25. I've been with Gaston County for 3 years now. Love it there. It's ever-changing, but so I also have a cat at home, and I have 2 goats. Been married for 2 years. We've been together a little over 9 years, but married 2 years. I'm from Stanley, moved to Dallas about 3 years ago, so I'm from Gaston County. Don't really plan on ever leaving. My kids go to school in Stanley, and all my family's still in Stanley, so I'm in both towns basically every day. So,
very good. I think that's the first time we've had any goats mentioned, or at least somebody having goats mentioned on the podcast.
Well, they're new. They're only 4 months old, so.
Oh, wow.
Very spoiled.
That's interesting, for sure.
Yep.
Claudette, what about you, ma'am?
So I am a native of Rockland County, New York, which is the suburbs of Manhattan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I got my associate's degree in New York from Rockland Community College, then went on to SUNY Plattsburgh and got my bachelor's degree. SUNY Plattsburgh is in upstate New York, almost on the Canadian border, and right on Lake Champlain, which is the border between North New York and Vermont. So I have been down here in the Carolinas since 1996, and I have worked for the state of North Carolina since 1998. I am married. We've been together for 25 years, and I have an 11-year-old daughter.
Oh, well, very good for you. So does that make you an official? Is that long enough to be an official North Carolinian, or?
I feel like I am because technically I've lived in the South longer than I lived in the North, so I don't consider myself still a Yankee.
Okay.
Though my email account says Yankee Claude.
I did not know that.
I'm not sure what to do with that one. All right. We're going to turn it over to Miss Donna Caskey for a moment. What would you like to share? She's got a look on her face like, oh, my God, you just asked me a question.
No, I'm just blessed to be here today, be a part of this group, be a part of these ladies that encourage me and help me every single day do what I do best, which is help this community become stronger and help our company win and help them win. So that's my goal every single day, is to impact people's lives and to let them know what we have here at GSM Services, and I know that we're going to give them the best career possible. And you guys help me do that every single day.
So I asked her to tell a little bit about herself, and that is typical Donna, who just gave us a inspirational speech and just trying to describe what it's like to work with Donna on a daily basis, which is a positive. That's exactly, I think these ladies here will attest to. That's probably what it's like working with her through the Workforce Development Board. So thank you, Donna, for that inspiration. So Chelsea, maybe stick with you. And again, we'll be going back and forth on some of these questions, but what can you tell our listeners? Well, let me start. How did you end up specifically involved with Gaston Workforce Development? And this will be a question for both of you guys.
Kind of by chance. So
okay.
I actually had a job in Lincoln that I loved. I did get laid off. So this was 3 years ago. So, of course, I've got to work. So I'm from Gaston County. So I just kind of put in some applications. I am from HR and recruiting background. So
okay.
it kind of fit. I still had a lot to learn, but And my dad, he's a Gaston County cop, so I've always kind of wanted to work specifically for Gaston County. So I put in an application, and I got interviewed a couple weeks later, and here I am.
All right.
So,
Very good. Claudette, how'd you get involved with the board?
So mine's a little bit longer story. So when we moved to North Carolina, we didn't have a job. My husband didn't have a job. I didn't have a job. So we went to the Employment Security Commission 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I realized after going there a couple times, like, I want to do this. This is where I want to work. I love what they do. And I said something to my husband about it. Well, within the same week, they were really behind, and the manager was actually having to wait on customers. And so my husband ended up in the manager's office and said, my wife wants to work here. And he said, well, does she have a college degree? And he said, yeah, she's got a college degree. He said, go get her. And so literally that's what happened. They came and got me. I was out in the parking lot because I had already been seen by someone, and they told me the process. And I interviewed in the Gastonia office in 1998 and was very fortunate to get hired by Employment Security Commission in Gastonia.
That's an interesting story. So maybe stick with you, Claudette. What can you tell us about what's the specific mission of the board? What is it that you guys are trying to accomplish, on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis?
So for me, I work for Divisional Workforce Solutions.
Okay.
So our mission is very simple. Our mission is we help people in North Carolina find employment. That's really just what our mission is, and we offer a variety of workforce programs in order to achieve that. Chelsea can probably speak a little more directly about what the board.
Okay, Chelsea?
well, it's pretty simple too, but we help connect talent to jobs. So we work with employers most of the time, but we do work with candidates as well. So our general mission is to help employers meet their workforce needs and help individuals find jobs and build careers. So that's why we work so closely together. So.
All right, so this kind of leads right into the next question. That was a great segue. So how do you go about doing that? What are some of the, I don't know how to describe it, initiatives, programs? So what are some of the specific things you're doing? And then maybe I've been talked to Donna as well on this one because I know she's involved with a lot of those programs and initiatives as well. But kind of what can you share with our listeners on that?
So one of the main things we do, obviously, are job fairs. We host monthly job fairs, sometimes more than once a month. Recently, we've done some collaborative job fairs, too, and GSM's always at the job fairs. Donna is we call her our job fair queen. So we do host monthly job fairs, which is obviously beneficial for the employers and the candidates. We also have work-based learning programs, which on-the-job training, which we can pay for partial of a candidate's salary for up to 6 months. Work experience, same thing. And then we have incumbent worker training, which a lot of companies really utilize that now. So what that is if your employees have been there 6 months and they need a specific training, like here, like say BPI training, we can reimburse you for that training cost, depending on the funds we have and what year it is. So it's really neat because all these employers are paying for this training already. So there is an application process, of course, and all that. But it's pretty simple, and it's up to $10,000 a year right now for employers. And our new year starts over July 1st. So any employers that we have looking for any of these programs, our new year starts July 1st. If they're interested, they can just reach out to me. Is it
fair to say that are there times when might be money available that doesn't get tapped or doesn't get utilized, or
yeah?
Am I making a bad assumption there?
No, it happens, and we want to use our money because that's what we get it for. We get it to help employers to help them thrive and stuff like that. It's just sometimes we feel like a lot of people don't know what we do, so we do want everyone to take advantage, as much as they can, especially employers. So
where are some of the job fairs typically, and how often?
So since pre-COVID, we used to have them at DSS, but kind of everything shut down, and we are actually still not open to the public. Our lobby's open, so we have not had them there. So what we've done is we partner with Gaston County Public Library most of the time. It's a great location, the main library on Garrison. The parking's great, the space is great. They're just a really good partner, and they help share our job fair. They have a lot of followers and stuff too, so it's just been a really good partnership. But usually once a month, and the dates kind of vary, so we try to put them on our Facebook and stuff like that. Get that updated.
Claudette, how would you add anything to that about initiatives, programs, or just from your perspective?
So Chelsea and I have actually done 2 different collaboratives this year. We started a tri-county job fair where we partnered with Cleveland and Lincoln counties, and we offered a virtual job fair. This is the first one that we're aware of 3 different counties collaborating together and 3 different workforce boards. So it was kind of just something that we brainstormed about, and we thought, let's give it a shot because let's face it, job seekers and employers don't care about county lines. So
That's
why
right.
should
Absolutely.
we?
Absolutely.
And so we're really proud of that. We did that event in January, and we're going to do another Tri-County before the end of the school year because we want to specifically target the high school graduates. So we envision this being a long-term Tri-County job fair. And again, it's 100% virtual. And then Chelsea and I and Donna was a part of just last week the second annual job fair of the Carolinas. And that's where North and South Carolina in the Charlotte metro area partner together and offer a job fair. And it was just last Thursday. It was a hybrid event where it was in person and virtual, and we had really great success. I think our preliminary numbers, and Chelsea, you may have to jump in here for me. I think the preliminary numbers was 138 in-person candidates and 355 job seekers on the virtual side. And Donna was a participant there and had great success, I believe.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, go ahead, Donna. I mean, elaborate yourself on some of your experiences with some of the job fairs or other things that you've been involved with as a board member and as a recruiting director.
Well, I think it's beneficial because when you see a person in person versus virtual, I think it starts building that relationship, and you can talk and you can discuss the opportunities that company has. And so us being there, plus we're out in the community, people see us, they know what we do. I grab them and bring them over to our table. So, just the event last Thursday was great. I mean, we were in this room with all these other businesses, and, the people, the candidates came through and went to each booth and listened to what opportunities were out there. And it's just, again, it's a great partnership for us to be able to be out in the community and do these kind of things. And, when COVID hit, it's kind of like we all kind of had to stop doing that. So we had to learn how to do it differently, which the virtual part did help us. But, being out there in the community, doing these type of things, I just appreciate the partnership with them to letting me know about these events and being invited to these events because I love to do that.
Do you know typically, I know that we have this like pre-COVID life and this COVID life, and hopefully we're moving into the post-COVID life, but how many, a typical job fair, how many people do you see coming through? I know you just mentioned the big one that was North and South Carolina, but a typical one here locally, or is that a secret that I shouldn't have asked?
No, it's not a secret. It's really hit or miss, though, to be honest with you. So pre-COVID, we would see anywhere from maybe 50 to 100 people on average. And then during the virtual world, not so much. People weren't really as engaged as much in virtual. And I agree that it was great that we had it if we needed it, but it's just not really the same when you're looking for a job.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not, that's
so
for
then
sure.
we switched over to drive-through job fairs whenever the weather was not too cold, not too hot, and of course you have to watch out for the rain. And that was actually a little bit better because candidates can either drive through or walk through the job fair. A lot of them chose to walk through, which in my opinion was a little bit better. So just in February we had 81 people, but then the next month we barely had anybody. So it's just, I don't know if it just, it's just hit or miss. We share with the same amount of people. So we just encourage everybody to just keep sharing this, because even if you don't need a job, somebody probably that does. So.
All right. So I'm sure this next question, you probably all have some story, but I like this question. Maybe start with you, Donna, on this one. You can give an example of an anecdotal story, a team member that we have here that came from one of these job fairs, or just some story where there's been a success with your involvement with the board and or any of the job fairs specifically?
Well, I know that, through our partnership and just the social media exposure, and then, of course, Elizabeth sharing on our social media, I have individuals that come into the job fair and they want to come directly to GSM. And so I'm just like boasting and like, yes, they're here for me. So, yes, we have had success with individuals that came on board with us, that in different divisions, that they're thriving, that they're doing great, and they're taking advantage of all the training opportunities that we have. So, my goal, again, is to continue to do these things and to provide, us a chance to win and have individuals that want to win as well.
All right. Very good. Claudette, do you have something you could share related to that question?
I don't really have any specifics. Someone recently quoted, and I'm going to quote what they said because it's really very true. We never really know the true impact of the individuals or families we serve, but we know that the impact is real and sustaining.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, I've been doing this work for 24 years, and when I'm around Gaston County, I run into people all the time who ask me, "Do you remember me? You helped me get a job 15 years ago," or you helped me with this. And so I know that we're impactful, and I know that we have value here in the community.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. Chelsea, would you answer that question any differently or have a specific story?
No, and, about the job fair numbers, too, we're in a different world, too. Not as many people need jobs. We've talked about it before, and I know Claude will talk about it a little bit later, too. A lot of people retired that are working age. So, we just don't, the job fair numbers, and, I always try to say, it's quality over quantity. And it is true, because even if you say GSM, for example, if you get 2 people at one job fair, that's, 2 good employees. So.
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate that because, and you're right, Claudette specifically, oftentimes we don't get to see that impact sometimes specifically. So, Chelsea, I'll stick with you for this question. What can you share? What are you most proud of accomplishing at your time with workforce development?
I think, just kind of navigating through the last couple of years. When I started, I was brand new 3 years ago, just kind of getting to know the program and getting to know, all the people. Then everything shut down. It was kind of like starting over. So, we're back out there now, but really just helping the employers with especially training needs and stuff. For example, one employer we had, super small family-owned business, maybe 20 employees. They were kind of losing out on a lot of bids for jobs because their machine time setup was just too slow because their employees hadn't been trained on this.
Okay.
So they reached out to us, and we were able to provide training fund needs for them. So the company that owns the machines, they came out and trained these specific employees, and their machine time setup, it's amazing now. And so they stopped losing out on these bids and stuff. And it was really kind of detrimental for them. It was either make or break it, and we work with all kinds of employers, but especially those small, businesses that money was a lot for them. So,
sure.
So just things like that. And we've had a couple stories like that, but that one kind of sticks out to me a lot.
Yeah, I think that's you've said it multiple times, but it's a good thing to remember. Workforce development, I think oftentimes we think hire, but it's, the training part and the training funds available is something that we need to keep in mind because it's not just the getting people in the door part. It's how can we help train, how can we keep them trained in advance. Claudette, what would you say to that question, either your time working with the board or NC Works or just in general? What are you most proud of?
I think I'm proud of the relationships that I've formed in the community with community partners and with employers. Chelsea and I work very, very closely together, and when we're planning an event, usually within 10 minutes, we can already identify who would be on the invite list, who do we have working relationships with. So I'm very proud of that. I'm also proud of the way we were able to transition at the Career Center during COVID. We started offering drive-through job fairs. We were able to transition to virtual services. And so we really didn't miss a beat when it came to serving the public. So I'm very proud of that.
Very good. Ms. Caskey, how would you answer that question?
Well, just again, I can't reiterate the relationship that I have with the Gaston Workforce Development and NC Works. Just being involved in all the events, then making sure that I'm aware of all the events and just the impact. And like you say, if it changes one person's life, then that's what it's all about. And it's building that relationship and continuing that relationship. When you see people out in the community, like Claudette was saying, and they remember you and they say, "Wow, that's Miss Donna. She works for GSM, and she gave me a great opportunity." And that's what makes me very proud to be a part of such a great organization and building the relationships that I'm building out in the community with NC Works and the board and all the other individuals that I love dearly.
All right, so Don, you might need to write a book about this stuff. This is writable and shareable stuff. So this is for all three of you. This is a podcast about Gaston County and why Gaston is such a great place. So why is Gaston County better? Because the Workforce Development Board is here. All right, Donna, we don't have no video, but Donna raised her hands.
Oh, exactly the reason what they're talking about today. I want to scream to the top of the roofs to all these businesses that's in this community because I'm like, why are you not taking advantage of this? Oh my gosh. Just it's unbelievable that they're not doing this. And I just want to say, get on board. I mean, if I could go knock on every door and say, what are you doing? Get on board. Let them help you. Let them, this right now, this day and time with the workforce, the situation that's going on right now, why not use all your resources? Why not get with the experts in this county that will give you the help that you need to find a great long-term coworker, not an employee, a coworker is what we call them here. So, again, I can't stress it enough that these ladies, this community, the Gaston workforce, NC Works, all of that together, I couldn't do it without them because they help me every single day. And for employees that are employers out there that are not using these services, I'm telling you, you are doing an injustice to yourself and to your company, period.
All right. Claudette or Chelsea, would you like to follow that with?
I was just going to comment that, Donna is our greatest cheerleader without a doubt. And we would love to have more employers like Donna because Donna is involved in every facet of what we do at Workforce Development. Not only is she a board member, we are also together on Gaston HR Association. We're members together. Donna participates in the career expos that Gaston College co-hosts. She is involved in the job fairs. I believe she's also done on-the-job training through Chelsea. She uses NC Works online to recruit talent. I mean, there isn't a resource that Donna has not tapped into. I know she's been recognized at the NC Works Partnership Conference before. GSM has been recognized for Employer of the Year. And so she definitely is our biggest cheerleader and just a great representation of a Gaston County employer.
I'm sure you can search for the video. What was that? Was that last year?
Yeah.
When Donna was honored with, what was the exact name of that award? Do you remember?
Bill Ragland.
Yes. Yeah. So all you out there, just search for that, and it's quite a presentation and well earned. Chelsea, would you add anything to that question? Why is Gaston County better because of the Gaston Workforce Development Board?
Well, I think we're just here to, the same reason everybody, to help serve our community, but to help us thrive our economy. We have a lot of resources that we definitely, like you said, want any employer to use, any candidate, because there are a lot of resources out there that even honestly before I started here 3 years ago, I had no idea about. So it's kind of, we're passionate about wanting people to know and kind of getting that word out here, which is why this was, so exciting too, because we do feel like anytime we can tell about our story and what we do, we want to do that. So, we're just here to kind of help our community grow.
Go ahead, Claudette.
I was just going to say, I think our success is our collaboration. We have a very shared vision, especially Chelsea and I. We work very closely together. We work closely with Gaston College, Gaston County Schools, all of the community partners that have anything to do with workforce development. That's really where I think job seekers and employers are at an advantage, is our collaboration.
Yeah, and kind of talking about that collaboration. I'm sorry, I just hit the desk. We have a team called Gaston's Best, and I actually brought you a catalog, but we have the digital version updated. So what it is we have a team of employer services. We do different things, but we all are here to service our employers and stuff like that. So we have a team made up of, Claude's on it, I'm on it, Gaston College, Voc Rehab. I don't know if you ever worked with them before. They're great. Then we have Gaston County CT, the vet services. I'm trying to think of
economic development.
Yeah, economic development on there. So what we did was put a catalog together of all of our resources. So because it's hard to remember all that's out there, so we want you to be able to I need training. Let me go in here and see who to contact and stuff like that. So we have and actually Highland School put this together for us, the graphics stuff like that.
Okay,
so that was
that's
kind of
good.
cool
Yeah.
too. We did this right before everything shut down. We got them all printed and then we weren't allowed to go anywhere, so we do need to print some updated ones, but we keep the digital version pretty updated. So like I said, it's just a bunch of resources in there, whether it be the training needs, the job fairs, or anything like that. So we like to give those out and make sure everybody knows that's available because it is a lot to remember, so we want you to have that on hand.
So maybe before we finish, we will definitely make sure to share where can our listeners go, where can employers go to get more information, what are some of the resources you guys have available. But before we kind of shift gears here, is there anything else I haven't asked or should have, anything else you'd like to share about the organization before we get into this really important round of questions that we have every episode?
No, I think that's it. I'm excited about the next questions though.
All right. So we're going to call this week's speed round of questions the triumvirate domination of these ladies' speed round of questions. I just completely made that up.
That's good.
That was sad. Maybe give me that was pathetic. Thank you. All right. However, we are going to start this time with Miss Donna. Donna, what is and you haven't seen these questions, have you? But you've heard them. You've listened to the.
I have.
All right. Well, good. Well, then you have no time to prepare then. So what's your favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
I would have to say grape.
Grape.
Yes.
I think that's my mom's favorite flavor.
It is amazing.
Claudette?
Don't hate me, but I have a milk allergy and I don't eat ice cream. I know. It's like sacrilege.
So you're getting close to reinstating your Yankee status.
Oh my goodness.
You haven't been to Tony's. So what's your favorite dessert?
Oh, probably bread pudding from Grandma Hoyt's.
Oh, wow. Okay, you just been reinstated.
That was a good one.
Bread pudding that's kind of like one of my secrets that not many people know, that's one of my favorite things. Chelsea?
Mine is grape as well. Grape milkshake, though.
So we just doubled down on the grape today. All right. Chelsea, Sundrop or Cheerwine?
Cherry lemon Sundrop.
Okay.
I'm not a Cheerwine person, but I kicked all soft drinks, so I think about cherry lemon Sundrop.
Claudette?
Cheerwine.
All right.
Diet Sundrop.
All right. Donna, favorite local restaurant?
Peter Will.
Good choice.
Ray Nathan's.
Oh, Ray Nathan's is good.
I have two, kind of depending on the mood or the town you're in. So the Woodshed and Stanley.
Yeah, Woodshed's great.
They were my neighbors growing up until 3 years ago, and I basically grew up in there. But it's obviously the prime rib and the salad bar. The salad bar's the best. But local to home, Sammy's in Dallas. So.
Yeah, Sammy's is terrific. All right, so Chelsea, favorite outdoor activity in Gaston County or favorite park or?
So most of the time I'm at home with my girls and obviously the goats now, and they're a lot of work. But my favorite outdoor activity in Gaston County, which I haven't been in a while, but the Common Ground in Stanley.
Oh yeah, I know exactly where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've never been, it's I don't know how many miles it is, but the trails have prayer lines across, all through the trail and stuff like that. Books you can read. You can there's a line where you can put prayer request on there. So other people that come through, and sometimes you'll go through and it's people too, because you're from Stanley. So
sure.
There's just a lot of good Bible verses through there and stuff, and it's just very calming when you go through there. So it's just really nice. There's
an annual, at least one. There may be more than that, but one annual 5K out there that I ran.
Yeah.
So with my F3 group, so
I've watched those, not ran them.
yeah, that's a great location, and that's a first. So I appreciate you sharing that one. Claudette, what about you?
Martha Rivers. My daughter loves the sandcastle.
Oh yeah, that's a great location. Miss Caskey?
Well, period. I love to be outdoors. So anything outdoors, I love the local parks, Goat Island, Martha Rivers, Kevin Lofton. I mean, I could go on because I've been to every single one of them. So, but yes, definitely the parks in the area they've got. I used to live right across from Biggerside Park, so I was there a lot doing the trails and taking the grandkids, which I do have 3 grandchildren. I didn't say that up front because I was too busy saying about everything else that I'm very proud of. But yes, being outside, being outdoors, and just taking advantage of all the local parks because they are just, they're kept up. They're great to take the family out. Biggerstaff has the lakes that you can fish, so I've done that with my grandkids. So
Gaston County Parks and Gaston County Rec, we're going to have to send you their monthly stipend for your promotion of the parks there,
Absolutely.
Donna. That was a question. It was what was your favorite park or thing to do outside? But no, we won't fine you for those 12 answers. So this is my question that I reserve the right to ask, and I'm afraid I already know the answer, at least for one person, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So I'll start with you, Donna. UNC Duke or NC State?
UNC.
I should have skipped Donna on that one.
You should have skipped her.
So, Claudette, I know you're not from here originally, but I'm going to ask anyway.
So my answer is all because I don't have a loyalty to any of them, but I understand that the correct answer is NC State.
That is the correct answer. So again, Claudette is moving up on the southern scale here.
I'm fixing to move down.
So it's all good. Chelsea?
I am a Duke fan. I have been since the time I was super, super young. I played basketball growing up, so always into it. But it really started when I was about probably 8 or so, and I think it was more because nobody else was a Duke fan. So, but I've just kind of stuck with it the whole time. So looking forward to Saturday.
We'll edit that out. So for our listeners out there, we are recording this, I guess 3 days before the Final Four game between UNC and Duke, which, I will not be watching because I couldn't care less about, Duke and UNC playing each other. But I understand that's kind of a big deal around here for some people. But, for others, who cares? So we're going to move on. Chelsea, sticking with you on this next question. What is something very few people know about you?
I've been thinking about this one. Honestly, I'm kind of an open book.
That's not an acceptable answer, by the way.
There's not a lot of secrets. I have twin girls. Everybody knows that. I don't know. I don't really have anything interesting. Okay.
Well, we have no time limit on this question, so I tell you what, we'll go around and we'll expect something.
Okay.
By the time we swing back around. That's the rule because I'm in charge. Claudette.
In New York, I used to do musical theater and girls jazz choir.
Oh wow! Was there something specific? Play or show or something?
Yeah, I did about 7 different plays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you have a favorite?
I did have a favorite. I probably would like, I did Oliver.
Oh,
I
wow.
really liked Oliver.
Okay, that's cool. I'm afraid to ask Donna this question.
Well, as you know, I think I'm an open book. Like Chelsea said, I don't think there's anything I won't try or do. But most recently what I did was there is a park in Hickory called Cool Lake Park, or Cool Park Pool. I'm sorry, it's a pool. And I climbed up on the ladder and jumped off a 20-foot diving board, and I had everybody in the area, in the pool area, which was probably about 600 people cheering me on, and they have been talking about it ever since. The owner said that she wants me to come back every week because it really just helped with everything, and so I was definitely, it's on video. So
okay, I was getting ready to ask, is there video proof of that?
People took that.
I wonder if we could get the video and we can put that in the show notes.
You know what? You can. I'm very proud of that moment because, I was encouraging all the other grandmothers there. Hey,
were your grandkids there with you?
My grandkids were there. My daughters were there.
Did anybody have to push you off, or you just?
They did not. They did not.
Well,
I did it. Some of the younger kids were trying to go around me because I did have some hesitation, but I finally went on the edge and was hyping up the crowd, and finally I did it.
Wow. I didn't know that. So there you go. That's a true. But we can, Elizabeth, if we can get that video and have a link into the show notes, that will definitely increase the, double our listeners from 2 to 4 probably on this episode. All right, Chelsea, you've had a few minutes to think of something.
Gosh, well, this might not be that interesting. I don't even know if I should say it.
Doesn't have to be. Actually, doesn't have to be interesting.
Or I don't know if I should say it. This is not interesting. I have 8 tattoos that most people do not, you wouldn't have a clue. So
I didn't know that.
No, yeah, very well covered. So that's all I got.
Okay, so that leads to the next question, which actually, and that's a first. So I got to give you credit. That's a first.
Oh, I don't need credit for it.
So we will just spare you the real question, but can you describe maybe one of them? What one of them might be, as long as it's not a Duke tattoo? No,
I don't have that. No, one of them I have a watercolor tattoo, giraffe tattoo, and it's actually because my grandma loved giraffes. I mean, if you went to her house, there were giraffes absolutely everywhere. So instead of the typical, with her name on it and stuff like that, I did a giraffe for her. So.
Wow.
And all of her family loves giraffes because of her. So yeah, if you just saw it and didn't know the story, you'd think I just had a watercolor giraffe on me. But it's because of her. So.
All right, so you do know once you leave here, when this episode airs, you're gonna get a lot of questions about that probably. So
probably.
So congratulations and thank you for sharing that. And don't be mad at me for making you answer that question.
Yeah, you can delete it.
Okay. All right, Chelsea, stick with you here. Or any recent book you could share with the listeners, or blog that you follow, or article or something that might be beneficial to our listeners?
I read a lot, but mainly at home, I just read for fun. A lot of fiction. It's kind of nice to escape reality.
Well,
So
well, fiction's good.
yeah. So currently reading a book called The Family You Choose, but it's
Okay.
again it's fiction. So
The Family You Choose. All right. Write that down real quick. Claudette, what about you?
I don't get to read for fun much anymore. So the last thing I read was an article really about workforce development,
Okay.
about bridging the gap in the labor force. And it really addresses the fact that we're losing people to retirement quicker than we can replace them. And about, the decrease in the population over the last 50 years is why right now it's a job seekers market.
Yeah, to your point, most trades, depends on the stats that you look at. It can be 5, 6, or 7 to 1. So, 5 or 6 or 7 are retiring, and only one is coming into the trades to replace that. So that's an untenable event, in the long term. So I appreciate that. Donna?
Well, I have to say, because I'm part of the leadership group here at Gaston Achievement or GSM Services, Raving Fans is the book that I've been reading. And over the course of the last year or so, we've been reading a variety of books. And, of course, the first one being very interesting and then going from there. But The Way of the Shepherd and just different other books, they have really helped me grow as far as leadership-wise and just educate me. And again, I thoroughly enjoy them.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Donna. That happens to be the current book that we're doing in our leadership group. So, again, I appreciate you saying that. And it is something that we have been doing for the last few years. I guess we do 4 books a year roughly. So again, I appreciate that. And listen, I appreciate you indulging us on those Gaston County in kind of personal questions. So we're going to kind of get back on the Workforce Development Board and finish up here with just a few more questions. So Chelsea, I'll start with you. And again, remember, this is about Gaston County. So besides the Workforce Development Board, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
I think, one thing, we are super close to Charlotte, but we still have that hometown feel here.
Right.
And, kind of we've mentioned before, we have a lot of good partnerships here. It's very collaborative in Gaston County. A lot of different organizations work together that you might not think would, because we're all here for the same purpose. So I feel like Gaston County, there's always resources for somebody, and, we just really work together well for the most part.
Very good. Thank you. Claudette, how would you answer that?
Similar to Chelsea's, I think our close proximity to Charlotte and the airport allows us to pay better wages and have a more sustainable life for people in Gastonia.
Okay, very good.
Well, as a person that grew up in Charlotte, and then when I got married, I moved to Gaston County.
You couldn't get here fast enough, right?
And yes, and I've lived here ever since. So, it's just helped me and my family, and I've convinced my entire family to move to Gaston County. So that right there, we know that it's a great place to live. It's provided us a lot of great opportunities to raise our family and our children and my grandchildren, and I just can't say enough great things about Gaston County. Well,
thank you, guys. Thank you for sharing that. So, Donna, this last question, I'm going to start with you. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Whew. Oh, man. Slow down. Don't sweat the small stuff. Take life and cherish every single moment. Don't let it pass by. Tell people you love them. Don't be afraid to say that. Don't be afraid to show that. And, be sincere, be compassionate, and because that's what this world needs.
Oh, boy. Claudette?
Yeah, mine's much more lighthearted than that.
Well, I knew, like I said earlier,
I would tell myself
write a book about this.
I know. I would tell my 20-year-old self to put down the Egg McMuffin. I eat way too much fast food.
That's pretty good. That's actually pretty good. But they're so good.
They are. I love McDonald's.
I'm actually more of a sausage McMuffin person, but man.
I like those too.
Yeah, I have to admit, those are good. Oh, boy. That was a little lighter than Donna. I think Donna answered for all of us. Chelsea, how would you answer that question?
I think for me, especially, I had twin girls at 20 years old, so it really applies, heavily to me. If plans change, if they don't work out, just make new plans.
Right.
Because, I've seen And I'm sure everybody has. A lot of times when a door closes or something happens, you think it's the end of the world, just to find out later that there was something better coming along or a new door is going to open. And just kind of in work-wise, just be confident because, sometimes being young or being a female in the workforce, you have to just go in and be confident and stuff. And I've learned a lot over the last 3 years because 3 years ago, I was not at all, didn't know what I was doing, so just kind of be confident with it, and you'll go places. So,
all right, that's really good. I appreciate again those answers. You never know who might be listening to glean how many 20-year-olds might be listening, hopefully, and might glean some advice from someone some individuals who have already been through that 20-year-old. Because I know when I was 20, everything was a big deal. Yeah, and it really wasn't, or it seemed to be a big deal. So, guys, this has really been good. So here's kind of the most important part. The point here is how can our listeners get more involved? How can employers find information? Are there any events coming up? I'm just going to ask you guys to share anything and everything you can about where they go get information. If an employer might hear this and like, what in the world is a workforce development board? How can they get involved? How can they search out help? So just kind of share anything you can on that.
So we do have a website. It's called GastonWorks.com.
Okay.
But I will say our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter are a little bit more updated day to day. So we do have, we like to share our events like job fairs and stuff, or even share things that maybe we saw an employer post like a job, open and stuff.
Okay.
But we do have a job fair coming up on April 25th. It is at the library and it'll be a drive-through event unless the construction is done at the library, but we're planning on a drive-through event. Candidates can either drive through or walk through. So we're doing that. Then the Dallas Library, they're actually hosting a job fair on April 18th. So it's between the Dallas Library and the museum. So it's going to be kind of cool. There's going to be employers on one side at the museum and then at the library, and then in between on the sidewalk, kind of like resources. And that one will be geared towards young adults, 18 to 24. And GSM is a part of both of these job fairs, of course. So, and we always post these flyers on our Facebook and stuff like that. So
I'm assuming if on the social media, they can listeners can just search Gaston Workforce Development Board or Gaston Works or
Gaston Workforce Development Board.
Okay.
And of course you can always just directly contact us and we'll give you any information you need.
Okay. Very good. So, Claudette, anything to add to that, or did Chelsea get that covered pretty well?
I was just going to say for job seekers, they just need to go to their closest NC Works Career Center.
Okay.
We have over 80 career centers across the state of North Carolina, and we provide services for all 100 counties. So job seekers, definitely go to your local NC Works Career Center. Employers, the same. They can come in, and then they can also use the State Labor Exchange. The State Labor Exchange is ncworks.gov.
Okay.
That's where we connect talent to jobs.
And I did want to add one more thing. It's not my event, but we are a part of it. But the Veterans Stand Down event in Gaston County, it'll be the first one in Gaston County, will be April 29th. It's at the Mountain View building. It's on, what street is that? I wrote it down. I can send that information out. But the Veterans Services of Carolina, they're the ones hosting it. And basically, they bring employers there and resources for these vets. And they said they expect 60 to 75 vets to come. So they'll, they've had events where they've had even like barbers come there. Just, employers looking to hire, just any kind of resources for them. So we're excited to be a part of that April 29th. So.
Okay, very good. So any last words of wisdom or anything you guys want to share before we close this episode out?
Thank you for inviting us. This has been great.
Yeah,
you're very welcome. I know firsthand the work that you guys do and the positive impact that you make on our community and how you serve both employers and individuals searching out employment. So, again, to me, it's an obvious reason why Gaston is a better place. So I do greatly appreciate all you guys do, especially Donna, because she is really, as you've heard today, she really is a cheerleader for not just GSM services, but for the work that the Workforce Development Board does. So, again, thank you for your time and your efforts, ladies. So as normal, I'm going to kind of finish up with my own book recommendation and kind of quote or thought for the week. And this might kind of maybe apply to the McDonald's and Egg McMuffin comment earlier. But there's a great book that I read, probably 10 years ago. It was the first time I read it, called Younger Next Year. It's a book by Chris Crowley and Henry Lodge. It's basically And there's actually a one for men and one for women, but it's basically talking about once you get to be 40, 50 years old, how can you maintain your best health until maybe you're 80? And it's exercise, food, of course. I mean, some of it's pretty simple, but there's some very specific things in there. But it's a book that I've tried to kind of keep in the back of my mind, maybe not as much as I should, especially when I'm driving by McDonald's in the mornings for that sausage McMuffin. But my quote of the week comes from Thomas Buxton, and it's, again, something that I like is the concept on persistence and what it takes to accomplish things over the long term. And he said, with ordinary talent and extraordinary perseverance, all things are attainable. This kind of ties in maybe to my 20-year-old self who thought I could just, I wanted everything immediately, and that's just not the reality of how success occurs and however you define success. But perseverance and persistence. If you do enough studying on success and leadership, you'll find that persistence is one of those traits that most really successful, or at least people we view as success, persistence and perseverance are those traits that are really within all of those individuals. So again, I appreciate you listeners out there today. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's episode. Please spread the word if you can about the podcast, and please don't hesitate to contact us here at podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at our website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please follow us on all our social media platforms. And apparently, giving us a good rating, a 5-star rating, helps the podcast gets noticed. So please consider doing that. And thanks again to Chelsea, Claudette, and Donna for being our guests today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Amy Anderson and Elizabeth King from GSM Services, and edited here locally by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.